Hi guys, welcome back to J2W tutorial, which is Advanced Java tutorial. This is the third video tutorial of Advanced Java. So as we discussed in first video, so first we're going to discuss about the feature specific version first, then we can see J2W topics later. So the previous video we covered about features of Java 5, which is for each loop and wire args and the static import and auto boxing, enums and the generics. So these are all the new features are introduced on Java 5 version. So if you are using later version of Java 5, so you can able to use all these features. And they likewise, like how they implemented a new features in Java 5, the same way they have implemented new features when they released Java version 7, which is JDK 7. So we can see the JDK version 7 features now. Sorry guys. Now we are seeing the features of Java 7. First one is binary literals. Other one is switch, which actually accepts string values. Third one is multi-catch. So while I'm explaining exception handling, I might cover with multi-catch as well, but I want to specifically mention this is the feature introduced in Java 7. So before that, it is not there. And fourth one is try with resource. And fifth one is type interface. Sixth one is like how we have binary literals, they introduced numeric literals also. So these are all the major features they have released when they are releasing JDK 7. So these are all the features you can say comes under Java 7. So first we can see one by one how to implement these things, and this will take very minimal time to explain. So let us go through one by one and we can see practically how they actually looks like. So first we can see binary literals. So in our example, so far Java 5 is having all the features whatever we implemented the previous video. If you see all the features we have it in Java 5. Now I'm creating a new files for Java 7, which is binary literal example. Just creating a new class which names as just creating a main method. So now we can see how binary literals will look like. So binary literal actually requires only 1 byte of memory. So only 1 byte is more than enough. So we don't need to use integers, float or double kind of large data types. We don't need to use. We just need a byte data type that will be more than enough. So we can directly store the byte characters into the variable byte variable. You can see it now. The value looks like, suppose if you're if you want to print any number, suppose 5, if you want to print it, we can see how binary literal will look like. It's not a string. I don't need to use double quotes here. 0b 101. This is the binary literal we can able to declare. So this feature is directly available in Java 7. So there is no case sensitive. We don't need to bother about. I'll be just adding one more variable which is same with capital letter 0 b capital B I'm using here. Let us print out these values. These are called as binary literals. Six out B1, 6 out B2. Let us run this program. See, even there is no case sensitive. If you are declaring any binary literals, you can directly use in case insensitive letters and you will be getting the result. So these are binary literals are used, and this feature is not available in prior to Java versions like Java Java till Java 6. There's no binary literals are allowed. Likewise, we'll be having numeric literals also. That also we can see it here itself. Let it be the order will be different, but we can see the numeric literals also here. We can change this order. It's not a big deal. Where we're covering. So first we can see binary literals, and now we can see numeric literals. Then we can see one by one the other things. So declaring a numeric literal will be numeric. It's a typo. So declaring a numeric literal, this will be very interesting. So if you're programming, right, if you're having very big number of digits, suppose if you have a digit like suppose I'll take, suppose if you have, so these are the number you will be having. So if you want to keep this one, say the value, but if for readability it's not much comfortable to read, right, how many zeros are there and what is this number, and for readability it's not much comfortable. So to avoid this one, there's no difference, like it's just giving that value and it's printing here. So there's no different, but I want to make it more user friendly. I just want to make it a user to understand easily. So for that, what I'm doing is I'm just adding wherever you want, anywhere you want, you can add it. I'll be adding underscore here, so there is no errors are coming. So you can run it, but still the value will be same. You can use n number of literals in between the digits, how many digits you will be using. For readability of the programmer, you will be writing that, and the value will not differ, it will be same. So these are interesting one. So you can use n number of numeric literals in between the digits, and even the numeric literals not only for integers, we can use it for float values also. We can see it now. Suppose float b, I'll be taking there, I'll be taking values like 10.5000 f. Suppose I just have this value, I'm just printing it before adding literal. What will be the value? So it's giving 10.5. So if you want to make it more readability, and if you want to make it, if you want to add numeric literals over here anywhere inside the string, so you can add it anywhere, then you can get the same result. There is no difference between the result, it will be same. You can put n number of numeric literals and you can use it, and you can run your program. So this makes easy, right? To readability and all, it will be familiar. If it is a small number, there's no problem. So suppose in this case, if you have more zeros, then you can, if you're divide with numeric letters, that will be readability for the programmer will be easy. For the functional device, the number will be, the value for the number will be same. There's no difference between the value. So this is how the literals will be. Let me rename this file. Instead of binary literals, I'll be making as so go to refactor, rename. So these is how we can rename the file. I'm just giving the literal example so that it will have the both the classes, right? Binary literals as well as the numeric literals. That is the reason I just mentioned as literal example, which is introduced in Java 7. So now we covered binary literals and numeric literals here. Now we can see switch with strings, how actually switch is allowing strings. So earlier when I'm using Java 5 or Java 6, at that time we don't have a switch case will not allow string values. It will directly allow only integer. Uh, before Java 7, it will be allow switch will allow only int, float, and char, or these kind of double or long, these values only primitive types that will be allowed, and it is difficult to if you have a string, so there is no possibility of passing it, and we just need to keep it in some map or something, then we need to use those keys, and a lot of struggle we'll be having. So after coming with the strings, switch case is allowing strings, so that will be makes the developer life better after these features. So that much good it is, and that much important it is. And make sure, guys, this is introduced in part of Java 7 features. So let us try that. How actually that looks like. Just creating a new class which names switch with string example. Let me have a main method. So what I'm giving is, sorry guys, I'm just taking a string game, just giving one value out of it. So what I'm writing is, I'm writing a switch case. You can auto populate with these things. So the key I'm giving the string. Here I'm not giving any integer or any float or character. I'm just giving directly a string I'm giving. See, the switch is not showing any error. It just accepted the input. So I'm giving options like okay. So I'm just printing. Let's play hockey. So I'm creating one more case, which again I'm giving the game whatever I mentioned here. This case I'm giving. So I'm writing cricket in this case. I'm just printing. Let's play cricket. So I'll be writing one more case, then break. So make sure when you're writing any switch, then you should make sure like break you have to use, otherwise it will the result you will not whatever the expected result you will not get it. So it will execute all the cases even if you didn't mention break within the switch case. So I'll be writing a case for football. Let's play football. So these are the typical way of writing a switch case with the strings. So just give a string to a switch, whatever the string you have, and compare the string values directly. So you don't need to have any character oriented search. And if this is required in so many places, and this extensively used all the developers in real time. So make sure, guys, these are very important features in Java 7, and people are using it very widely. It is using it. So let us run our program. Let's play cricket because we gave game as cricket. So let's play cricket. It works fine. So these are we can implement switch with string using Java 7 because this is the Java 8 I have. So that is the reason it is actually accepting all the features of Java 7. So Java 7 or later you can allow to free to use these features. And if you're trying these features within Java 5, then you will be getting compiler error because these features are not available in Java 5. They just introduced or on Java 7. So after Java 7, you can use any latest version of Java 7. You can use all these features. So these about switch to string. Next, we can go to multi-catch. How multi-catch will be, multiple catch blocks will be there. We can see it now. Let us create a class for that. Multiple exception example. So here we can see how multiple catch blocks will be used for one particular uh, exception case. I'm just writing a main method. So the way to write a try catch is try catch. Finally, if you want, you can write it. For now, we don't need finally. We just need a try catch. That's enough. So I'm writing a possible exception case where I'm forcefully creating one exception. There I can see. Uh, so that I can able to work on catch blocks. Let us throw an exception on using some block of code. I'll be writing code like this: int array new int of, I'm giving just 10 size for this array of 10. I'm giving 30 by 0. So let us try this example how that actually works. So I'm just printing e.print stack trace. So this is a global exception we are writing, and we are printing the global exception message. First, we can try with the regular program and one catch block. Then we can see the writing multiple catch blocks. And now it is giving arithmetic exception. So I don't need to have an exception by default. I can use any my own exception. Suppose I can use arithmetic exception over here. Arithmetic exception. I'll be writing AE. So if I suppose to insert after the element, then I'll be expecting array index out of bounds exception. So for that, I'll be having one more catch block. So you don't need to have one more try catch. You don't need to implement. You can have multiple catch blocks because if I'm trying to insert array of 11, if I'm trying to insert any value, so it will actually throw array index out of bound exception. I'll be handling that exception also here. So this block of code might possible to send two types of exceptions, so that I'm handling two types of exception handling here. So catch block, I'll be writing, I know the exception which is array index out of bound exception. Let it be E, or we can write array index out of bounds exception ABE. Let's name it like this. ab.print stack trace. So these will be creating an index exception block, which is for array index outer bound exception. So if I have other block of code within this block, so other than these two exceptions, some other exception I'll be expecting. Suppose if this block of code is throwing other than two these exceptions, if it throws some other exception, let's suppose a null pointer exception or some other exception, to handle that I'll be having one more catch block. Here I'll just keep exception because that other exception, I don't know which exception will come, because exception the parent class will handle all kind of exceptions. I'll be using that one here. So this is the how you can able to use multiple catch blocks for one try block itself. So you don't need to write for each possible exception, you don't need to write multiple catch blocks. Suppose if I comment this one, because we have already seen how arithmetic exception comes. So what I'm trying here is I'm inserting an element which is not there, which is out of the size of the array. So we'll see how this exception is rising or not. See, array index out of bound exception, it handled it. For your reference, I will printing these values as well, where we are. So in arithmetic exception, the same thing I'll be putting for all other cases. In array index out of bound exception, in regular exception, we can see clearly which block is executing in array index out of bound exception. So these how you can able to handle multiple exceptions with a single try block and multiple catch blocks. So these called as multiple exception handling in Java 7. This is introduced in Java 7. Before Java 7 means Java 5 or 6, you don't have these features. You just need to have only one try block and only one catch block. Multiple catch blocks will not allow in prior to Java 7 versions. So that is how we can use multiple catch example. Now we can see the other features of Java 7, which is try with resource. So what is try with resource? So as we are having try block here, so what is the try with resource? So these simply having a try block. For that, let us create a new file so that it will be clear for you to address the feature specifically. So I'm just creating a class where I can have a main method. So these are the typical syntax of try block, try catch we know, right? So we just need to have a try, and inside we just write a block of code, and if it is throwing exceptions, then we'll be handling in catch block. So for files case, suppose if I want to handle a file, what I'll be doing is usually in regular programming before Java 7, how I'm writing is file output stream fout is equal to new file output stream. Let me give any path. Let me take this path. Let me have a folder which is test. There I'll be writing a file name, hello.txt. So here we'll be expecting that file to be saved. I'm just trying to create a file. I'm just creating a file, and then I'm trying to. This will show a compile time error with exception, because we should handle it try catch block, or we should throw an exception. So let us do anything. Let us add try block, because we have to handle with try catch block. So what I'm doing is I'm just creating a class and file output stream class. There I'm giving an input, which is a new file I want to create, and once I just want to write some text on it. What I'll do, string message, I just want to welcome to Java 7. So I'll be writing a string which is welcome to Java 7, and this string I want to write it to a file. How to write it? Just convert it to a byte array. Message byte array message dot get bytes. So now you have to write it to file. The way to do is fout dot write of message byte array. So these are will be writing. It is showing error. So again, it has to handle in try catch. So this will actually takes a different exception. We handled the file not found exception here. Let me put exception with globally so that it will handle all the errors. All kind of exceptions. I just put the global exception class. So these are I'll be writing a file. So what I have to do is I have to close this file again. So usually how we will do is, suppose if I just need to have a fout, let me declare it globally. So these are will be using, these are will be initializing, because I just need to close this, right? Even the file got created, or if something is failure, so I don't want to so if this block is getting failed, right, the file stream will not close. I just want to close it if the stream is in a finally block, which is actually always executes. In try catch finally will execute always. So for that reason I'm writing finally block, where I'm actually checking if the fout is not null, then I'm actually closing that file. That stream, whatever the stream it is open, I'm just closing here. If out not equal to null, then close. What I'm doing is, here also you just need to handle try catch blocks. For files you have to handle this way. See, we are writing a lot of try catch blocks where for opening a file and for closing a file, and we just need to handle multiple times we need to handle exceptions, right? So suppose for opening a file, it's a file output stream, we just put one try block here, and we exception handling we handled here. And if you're closing a file, again we have to use try catch blocks. I just want to avoid these things. I just want to give Java 7 or Java to take care of all the opening and closing a files. I don't mind, like when I need to, I don't want to code this much. I don't want to handle it this much carefully for files and all. So for that reason, every time making this much lines of code will be very difficult to a developer. So for that, what Java guys did was they just introduced try with resource, which is a try block will actually takes an input of a file input for the file output stream or file streams. It will actually takes care of closing a stream without, we don't need to mention because people will might forget. Even if you don't mention this code, right, a compiler will not throw any exception. See, there's no error you will be getting, and if you put this code there's no errors, and if you don't put this code also there's no error. But make sure we should close the stream, then only the file stream will be released. For that reason we should take care of it. There is a lot of possibility of any developer can forget this line of code, so because the exception, there's no compile time errors where it will be giving, so a lot of people might forget to close the stream. So because of that we'll be facing a lot of issues like performance issues, memory leak issues, lot of issues will be getting. To avoid that, what Java did was, you don't need to write this finally block itself. So if you want to do some other operations, you can write it, But in finally block, for closing file streams, you don't need to write this block, you don't need to write. And here you will be declaring a file output stream, right? What you have to do is declare it outside, but you should handle the exception, right? You just cut this code and keep it within try block. The try block is looking like, is having a parenthesis where it actually takes the file output stream. See, within the try with resource, this is actually taking the file output stream itself, try block itself taking file output stream. So we are not closing, we can directly delete this code. We don't need to have this code available. We can directly delete this code, and try block will automatically takes care of closing the stream. So it means once the try block is executed, if some exception came, so even the finally block, you don't have any close of stream. So try block itself, consider it will be closing the stream, will be taking care of try catch mechanism itself. For developer, even if he forgot also, there is no problem. Compiler will take care of closing the file streams. See how much benefit it is compared to the previous code, how big it is, and the handling, and even if you forgot closing the streams and all, it will be difficult to handle. So these are we can avoid handling closing the streams and all, and that is the benefit of using try with resource, which is this syntax. So these are we can implement try with resource. Next we can see what is type interface. What is a type interface? This is a very important feature, because when I started coding in Java 5 or 6, at that time we used to write without type interface. It is we have to write a declaration in a different way for collections and all. Let us try that. Why can't we see that in real time? So I'm just, let me create a new file for that, and there we can have the declaration and all, how we can write type interface. Example. There we can see how to implement a type interface in real time. So these are also very much important. Let me create a array list first, then we can see what is the benefit of using, like how before like Java 6 and all, how people are using without type interface, and after Java 7, how people are using Java 7 or later versions, how people are using. Let me create an array list. We'll see how it will work. List integer list1 new array list. Then you have to declare the type, whatever the type you will be having in declaration. Also you have to mention the type. I'm just doing imports. I'm using shortcut Control Shift O, which is actually show you the suggestions. So it is just created an object, list object. These are I'll be using without using type interface. With the type interface, how we can declare the here for list, you can add a number of elements, like list.add of 10 or 20 or anything, you can add it, and you will be using that list for your further programming. And we'll see this declaration how it will actually happen for Java 7. What is the major difference? We can see it now. List integer, so list2 equal to typo, list2 equal to new array list of, that's it. So here you don't need to mention specifically what is the type of the what is the type of the array list, because the reference variable you already mentioned which type it is, and For assigning value, you don't need to mention because it will hold by default, it will actually hold that kind of elements only. So you just need to keep an empty braces, that will be more than enough. And this list 2 also works same. There's no difference between list 1 and list 2 while using it. Add of 40. So these are the difference will be, that is a type interface. Make sure guys you should remember the keyword. These not much difficult to remember these things, but make sure you should remember the keywords, type interface, and what is the type interface. These are the type interface. So you don't need to have mention the specific type of the while you're assigning any object to a reference variable. In reference variable you have to declare, and here you don't need to declare. That will actually compile automatically, takes the types of values. But before Java 7 you should mention it. So these about type interface. So these are all the features we have in Java 7. So binded literals we have covered, which is looks like this. Binary digits it will directly allow, and the numeric literals it will allow underscore characters, that will make you readability easy for the developer. And the other feature we saw, switch with string, which actually switch case will take a string as an input and it will actually compare the cases. And multiple exception example we saw here, actually one try block will have multiple exception blocks. Also we saw try with resource, which before Java 6 we used to code try catch like this. Try block will not allow resources like file resources and all. So here with the Java 7, file with the resource it actually allows you give the strings streams and all. It is try with resource will automatically take care of closing the streams, so you don't need to particularly take care about writing a finally block, closing the streams and all. You don't need to do. The other feature we saw, which is type interface, which is the assigning value object. We don't need to mention the type of the object it is holding, only the reference value. It will be more than enough for to declaring any list or any type of collection. So these are all the features we have it in Java 7. So these about Java 7. The next video tutorial will be very much important. That's a Java 8 features. We can see it in next tutorial. Java 9 also we're going to cover in this tutorial, and next topic will be features of Java 8. Guys, may remember this is very interesting and this is very much useful. I was very much impressed with the Java 8 features because the features they introduced was very awesome, and compared to these features, the Java 8 features make you your life better. So you don't need to write much lines of code for so many scenarios. So Java 8 features are very much important, and people are asking for Java 8 features, and specifically in interviews. And make sure guys, the next video tutorial will be very much important. That's it. You can meet it in next video tutorial. Thank you. Thanks guys. Thanks for watching.